Welcome to the Self Love Uncensored Podcast. We are your hosts. I am Vanessa McWilliams.
And I'm Amanda Wozni.
And we are self-proclaimed experts in all things self-love.
Here you'll find uncensored discussions about life, living unapologetically, and becoming our best selves.
Welcome to episode 11.
Yeah.
So good. So today we're going to talk about something that's kind of near and dear to both of our hearts. This is stuff that we do for a living, I guess you could say. These are things that we teach people how to do. And it's basically goal setting, how to set goals and actually achieve them. I think it's so important to not only set goals in your life, but actually set goals that scare the poop out of you. But the things that you actually figure out the things you really actually want to go for, not just, we were just talking before we hit record about SMART goals, and not just creating goals in our lives that we feel we can achieve and that are the things that we're supposed to do, but like actually set goals that set our souls on fire and that we may not think, like set the big goals, the big, juicy, scary fucking goals. Like those are the goals that light my soul on fire. But we were talking before we hit record about SMART goals. And I had said to Amanda that I'm not really versed really well in what a SMART goal is until we sat down and actually like hashed out what a SMART goal is versus the way that we do goal setting. Yeah. And so it's actually really fascinating to me, and I'm going to learn a little bit today along with our viewers. So I'm kind of excited.
That's right. Yeah, we do it quite differently. And the SMART goal thing, most people have probably heard of. I guess I was doing some research on it too. I had no idea kind of the origins of it, but from what I can find, it started about 70 years ago, which is crazy. And it really hasn't evolved much since then. So whether you're familiar with it or not, this is kind of the typical one that you'll hear people talk about with goal setting is SMART goals, which it stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So we'll get to the way that we set goals here in a little bit because we only have 3 filters that we apply to the way that we do it. But basically, so specific means that it's obviously like not something generic, like I want to have lots of money, right? Like just something really you want to say like, I want to pay off my debt and I want a 6-figure bank account or something to that effect, something a little bit less broad spectrum. And I think it's kind of obvious why we want our goals to be specific. I don't disagree with that part of it. I think that even though that isn't one of our 3 filters that we put on things, it is very important for your goals to be specific for you. Mm-hmm. So hone them in and don't make them generalized. That part's not so bad. Measurable is basically what it says, something that you can measure your progress on. The part that we don't really agree with is the achievable part. And you'll probably find that ironic that 2 high achieving kind of people don't agree with goals being achievable, but here's why. Because in the sense of SMART goals, achievable means things that you can do, right? So things that you already know you can accomplish, those things are already inside of your comfort zone. And that's not where your goals should live. Your goals should not be inside your comfort zone. Your goals should expand your comfort zone and push you way the fuck outside of it.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Slingshot you out of that comfort zone. 100%.
And I really feel like that's probably the most limiting factor of SMART goals is the achievable, because achievable to people makes them scale everything way back, right? Yeah. So instead of my goal is to be an entrepreneur with an 8-figure business or something, I want my business making $100 million a year. And when you haven't even started a business, you're like, holy fuck, that's pretty big. Okay, well, fine then. My goal, I'm going to register my trade name. And that's good because that means I took the first step to starting a business. It's like, no, that gap between the thing that you actually want, which is a wildly successful business, and what you decided to set your goal. I mean, which one's going to help push you? Which one's going to make you get out of bed in the morning excited about going to work and working harder? Yeah. You're not going to get up excited. You're going to drive to the registry. You're going to register your trade name. And you'll be like, cool, I accomplished my goal. Yeah. And it's like, okay, now what?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I think there's a huge difference between setting yourself up with a goal that's really, really gigantic and scares the shit out of you, and then making those micro goals. But even then it's like, that could be a small micro goal, but you still have to have like, if that doesn't excite you, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Like you won't even want to go to the registry, right? Like when you dumb it down to just those like tiny, tiny little things, sometimes they're necessary to get you to move towards the big scary thing. But that's like, you hit it right on the head, that if you are creating smart goals for yourself and you're making these teeny tiny little goals that don't feed into anything bigger, what's the point? You're not going to want to do the things, right?
No, you're going to quit before you even get started, because it really doesn't ignite that passion in you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. So, all right. Specific, measurable, achievable. The next one is relevant, which I think also really restricts you. Like, they're really, I don't know. I don't even agree that it should be in there. What does it matter what it's relevant? My perspective of relevance is completely different than yours. Your goals are unique to you. And yeah, under the notes of it, it says reasonable, realistic, and resourced, results based. And we're not saying to make your goals unrealistic. Like, I'm not saying my goal is to turn into a unicorn, because I know that's not going to happen, right? But there's no right, like, do be realistic within reason, but also just don't be afraid to dream big, which I think the smart thing just really kind of restrains you in that way.
Yeah. Well, and when we talk about relevant, like, and we talk about realistic, the other thing too is we have to think outside of ourselves sometimes. Like, we have to think, you do have to expand that comfort zone and think like way bigger than what you could possibly think for yourself, because there's people out there that are doing really gigantic, amazing things that you may not ever think that is possible for you. But at one point they might have thought the same thing for themselves. Right. Yeah. So that's just it. Like, sometimes you do have to be realistic, but when you're thinking big, like we don't think realistic. It could happen. It could happen for anybody. So
yeah,
100%.
Well, and I think that makes me think too, that like the sense of relevance in like, so say that your big goal, is like right now you work a 9 to 5 at 7-Eleven or something. You got a really shitty job that you don't like, and your goal is to start that massive empire of a business, right? So that's not really relevant to your current situation at all, to completely switch jobs, to do something where you're not employed. Now you're going to become an employer. You're going to become self-employed. Like, everything is completely different. That's really not relevant to your current situation. Whereas if you take it more in the relevant context, maybe instead you're going to be like, okay, well, I'll stay with my current company, but my goal then is to become a manager because I want to make a little bit more money. Well, a little bit more money from minimum wage and running a multi-million-dollar corporation are completely different. And if that's the one that sets your soul on fire, then that's what you need to be doing, regardless of if it's relevant.
Yeah. Totally. Absolutely. And there's ways that you can start to build that on the side of doing the job that you don't actually still want to be on. We're not telling anyone right now, quit your fucking job.
No.
And start your empire.
No, but if that's the push you need and you needed a sign, then this might be your sign.
This might be your sign. Blimp.
Jeff Foxworthy, here's your sign.
Yes. Here's your fucking sign, my friends.
Yeah. Yeah. And the last one is time bound. So it says time based, time limited, time cost limited, timely, time sensitive. I don't as much disagree with this one either. However, I feel like I wouldn't put a time restriction on your big goal, but your like stepping stone goals or like actionable habits and routines are probably better for that. So like if your goal is to, again, start that multi-million-dollar corporation, say your first goal within a month is to register a business, get your GST number set up and all that kind of stuff. Within 3 months, you're going to have a business plan executed. Within 6 months, you're going to take some sort of certification for whatever it is you're doing, or you're going to look for a mentor, somebody to help you, right? Like those kind of things. But you're not going to be like, okay, it's April 14th, 2021. And by September 27th, 2023, I'm going to make $108 billion a month. Like, right? You can't. That's part of, and we'll get into this, but that's part of something that you can't control. That's going to be a byproduct of your actions, right? And how well you build the company that you're going to build in order to achieve this goal. So your big goal itself being time bound, I don't think is relevant.
No. No, totally not.
Yeah. But I feel like your smaller stepping stone kind of goals are way more likely to be the things that are time bound that can keep you on track. So,
well, and I think it's important to have time bound to have that focus, I guess, on your smaller goals too, because a lot of times people say like, okay, I'm going to give myself 3 months to do this, like small actionable goal to start writing my book, to, start exercising, to start eating better, drink more water, blah, 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 whatever the small things are that are going to get you closer to your goal. And I always challenge people. Okay, if you've said that you're going to give yourself 3 months, cut that in half. Does that scare you? Right? Because then most people are like, ooh, because then you actually have your face to actually start doing the thing right away. Right.
Yeah.
Instead of saying on Monday, I'm going to start eating better. On Monday, I'm going to stop drinking alcohol. On Monday, I'm going to start drinking water. And it's Friday. What's stopping you from starting right now?
Yeah.
Right. Like start the thing now, start the thing tomorrow. Don't start it on Monday.
No.
Right. And that's, I think
we're really bad for procrastinating that way.
Big time, right? Like, and that's the thing is if you give yourself too much time, you won't fucking do the things. You won't. You have to. I do believe, like you said, in the time bound for your micro action goals, but for your big goal, your big gigantic one, you can't control the outcome of what you're, of how that's going to happen and how that's going to lay out. So you can't put a time. You could say in 10 years, I'd like to have my first $1 million check and write yourself a check and keep that somewhere. Like I've done that. I've got $1 million check in my wallet for myself. And I'm not saying what the year is that I wrote it because it doesn't matter, but I know that, I've put a time on that and that's what I'm aiming for. And if that doesn't happen, it's okay because I know that part of, there's a lot of that doesn't, I don't have control over, but I wrote that check to manifest that into my life. Right. So it is hard with the time part of it to know when to use it and when to give it grace. But you definitely, when you're setting goals, if you've got a goal for yourself and you want to be real with it, start right now. Figure out something and start right now. Don't give time the advantage.
No. And I think the other problem with, if you become really rigid with it being time bound, for your big goals, especially, is that it can easily give you a way to duck out of what you're doing. Because if you're like, okay, within a year, I'm going to lose 120 pounds. And then you get to a year and you've only lost 80 and you're like, well, fuck. Okay, well, I may as well give up. Because it's like, no, do you realize how much you accomplished in the last year? Yeah. So you're just going to give that all away because you didn't meet some arbitrary metric that you set for yourself, not knowing like the biological response of your body that you can't control, right? Like maybe you lost 80 pounds of fat and you gained 20 pounds of muscle. So you're actually closer to 100 and you're almost there. So I think that part of it can really crush us if we aren't conscious of it. So if you're going to do, like Vanessa said, like say in 10 years, you want to make $1 million or something, let it be loose. Yeah. Let it be like, it would be great if it happened before, but if it takes me 11, like, is it really the end of the world? I'm pretty sure you'd still be happy at 11 years to get $1 million. Totally. Right. Yeah. Versus hitting year 10 and having 998,000 being like, fuck it, may as well just give it all away. I didn't hit my goal. Like,
exactly. No, so. I totally agree. It's, I think time, we need to use it in the relevance of like, as a motivator, but not as the end goal to have it done in X amount of time, right? Because half of the things that we're going to set out to do for ourselves, we don't have control over. We can only control what we can control and how we show up in the world, right? We can't control the outside things, the factors. And so that's just it, is you have to give yourself grace when you're setting a time goal for sure. Yeah. But you have to you have to use time as your motivator, not as the end goal, because the motivator part of it will motivate you to do the thing, right? Like if you want to write a book, like for instance, I used time for myself as a goal for writing my book last year, that I wanted to have my first manuscript written in 3 months. And my original goal was to do it in 6. Well, that didn't fucking scare me. I was like, oh, I got lots of time, 6 months. And for me, I would have procrastinated for 3 months. Month 5. Yeah. And then been like, okay, I guess I should start. And then all of a sudden I'm writing a book in 3 days because I've given myself so much time to think and dwell over it that it becomes this mountain when in reality, it's just a molehill. Right. And
how many of us do that though? Like that applies to everything. You're getting ready for a vacation. Do you pack 2 weeks in advance so you can progressively think of all the things, or do you wait till the night before and then you're like, get on the plane and you're like, what did I forget? Yeah. I forgot my phone charger and I forgot my underwear. And it's like, Yeah.
Totally. And that's just
Yeah.
it. And yeah, for me, I ended up, going from 6 months and I was like, no, 6 months, I'm going to procrastinate the shit out of this. And I thought I'll do 3. And then but then even then it wasn't just, okay, I'm giving myself 3 months, let's go. Then it was, now how do I create actionable items to get this done in 3 months? Yeah. And I think that that's one of the parts of goal setting that a lot of people miss, is they just set a goal and then they're like, okay. And then nothing in their life changes because they don't know how to break down actionable steps to get them to that goal. It's easy enough to say, I'm going to write a book in 3 months. I'm going to write a manuscript, right?
Yeah.
But then how are you finding time in your day to write that manuscript? How are you challenging yourself to carve out time when you're a fucking busy mom with a full-time job to sit down and write when you're tired? How are you going to find time to work out? How are you going to find time to eat better and meal prep? Like, do all these things that you set out for yourself. And so I think that that's part of goal setting that a lot of times can get overlooked, is your non-negotiables, which we're going to talk about here shortly. But that's the thing. Use time as to your advantage. Use it as a motivator. And like I said, if you set yourself a goal and you're like, okay, I got time. No, right there. If you say that, a lot of people say that I got time, slash your time in half, slash that goal in half, fucking
sometimes, because you got to be careful with what you're talking about too, right? Like if we want to go on to the fitness and nutrition side of things, if your goal is to lose X amount of weight in a certain amount of time, I totally agree with that being a motivator on some things, but
that's different.
Like there are some goals, and that's why it's important to not put a time bound on it, that some of them just require continued showing up in effort day in and day out of very basic, simple things. And time needs to pass in order for you to accomplish it. So for you, for a book, absolutely. Use it as a motivator. If your end game goal is to like lose a whole bunch of weight or get really defined muscles or something like that, that's within my realm of the world, those are things that time just has to pass. And it's the book is in your control, and the body changes are not in your control. So that all really just gonna say it that too.
Yes.
If it's in your control, if it's something that you can literally control your own effort on, then I think it's fine to use time as a motivator. If it is something that you can only do the input work on and you have to wait for something external from you to be the change, like to accomplish that goal, like your body composition changing or something, then I think it's just important to realize you're just going to have to put in continued monotonous, boring, non-sexy, non-fun necessarily work, and you're just going to have to let time pass. And then one day you'll wake up and it'll have changed, right? Like, I don't know who said it first, but that quote where you overestimate what you can do in 10 years and underestimate what you can do in a year. And I think that's how most of us live. And I think that's what really limits us on these SMART goals and putting time on things.
100%. 110%. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So anyways, we'll sum that up and then we'll dive into the next part. So SMART goals basically don't help us set goals that are significant to our lives, which will explain to you why the filter that we use for our goals does in fact do that. Goals that are significant to our lives are goals that are deeply important to us and will have a significant impact in our lives. So these are goals that what, Vanessa? They make you what? You're what?
Pee your pants, shit your pants, all the things. Yes.
So let's talk about how we set goals. What metrics do we use?
So the biggest thing is we make it a little easier. I find this method a lot easier than the way that we broke down SMART goals. The biggest thing for us is we do this work through Transformation Weekend. And there is more work that we do around this, but when it comes down to this, the 3 filters that we use is we figure out, is it entirely in your control? And the way that we talk about this is with SMART goals, with any kind of goal setting, I should say, that there's a lot of things that people will set a goal for themselves with, or about, that they think that they're in control of it, but in actuality, a lot of the thing that they're setting out to do is actually out of their control. So one of the most common things we hear at Transformation Weekend, or we do any kind of like life coaching with people, is that typically women want to lose weight. This is just a really great example, just broad example that I think most women have set for themselves at some point or another in their lives. And the biggest thing is that losing weight is technically not a goal. It's not a goal because you cannot control weight loss. The only thing that you can control is the energy that you're outputting. So the way that you're moving your body and what you're putting in your mouth. Okay. Those are the only two things you can control. Your goals have to be something you can control. The weight, I have had weeks on weight loss journeys in my own, in my own life where I walk every day for a month. I get my 10,000 steps. I do my workouts. I eat really, really well, and I lose 2 pounds. And my goal was to lose 10, right? Because it's not a fucking goal. And I end up finding that, like when we set goals like this for ourselves, that I can only talk for myself in my own experience, but I always felt so defeated because I had a goal to lose 10 pounds. I did the things that I thought I needed to do and I didn't hit it. And then what did I do? I fell face first into a bag full of Doritos and I was like, fuck it. This isn't working.
It gives you permission to quit.
It does give you permission to quit. And so when we have this one goal come up, we always reframe it as, what can you control? It has to come back to everything that you can control. So the only things, like I said, that you can control with this is, instead of saying that your goal is going to be a weight loss goal, it's instead going to be that you're going to walk 10,000 steps a day. You're going to drink 1 gallon of water every day. You're going to eat something green with every meal every day, right? Those are things that you can control. The result is going to be the weight loss. The result is going to be the change in your body. That is different than a goal. Okay. So it's such a popular one that comes up with I think every event that we ever do. There's always a ton of women that have weight loss as a goal. And that's the thing. It's not a goal, it's a result. Okay. So number one is, it has to be entirely in your control. If it's not entirely in your control, the thing that you're going for, then that's when we say, okay, break down what are the things that you can control and write those down. Okay. Number 2, or B, I guess, as I said A before, is it trackable? So can you actually sit down and track your progress? So we'll just use weight loss again as a thing. Weight loss is the result. But if that was your original goal, and we've broken it down that, okay, instead of weight loss as a goal, we're going to eat something green at every meal, drink a gallon of water every day, and get 10,000 steps every day, you can track that, right? You can make a chart and check off every day when you hit your 10,000 steps, and you can check off every day when you've eaten something green at every meal, and check off every day when you've drinking your gallon of water. Absolutely, it's trackable. Okay. So it has to be trackable for you. Otherwise, again, it's permission to fail. It's permission. You just won't have that structure to be able to keep going and motivate yourself to do the thing. And number 3 is, does it make you want to pee your pants? If your goal does not, and I have to say this because I have some goals that don't make me want to pee my pants, but they are goals that I know are going to get me to the goal that makes me want to shit my pants. Okay. So my very, very big goal scares the absolute bejesus out of me. It scares me. It makes me, I would probably shit and throw up at the same time. Like, that's how scared I am. I'm not scared, but like, that's how much emotion of it evokes in me, because it's big, it's scary. It makes me want to pee my pants. But I have other micro goals underneath that big goal that don't really have that emotion effect on me, but they're the things I have to do that aren't sexy, that aren't fun, that are going to get me to that big goal. Right.
And I think it's probably important to say, like, people, a lot of people probably don't resonate with that scary thing. And if that's how you feel about your goals, then that means you're probably skirting around the thing that you should actually be going towards. Like, it's just human nature that we play to the safe side of things, right? So we generally don't, and we've been conditioned that way since we were little. It's always so funny to me when you read about the things about how, like, you encourage your kids, oh, you're going to be an astronaut, you want to go to Mars, that's awesome, like, you can totally. And then it's like we hit a certain age and all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, that was really cute when you were 3, Johnny, but now you need to come up with something realistic, right?
Totally.
So you're conditioned to shy away from those things that scare you. So if you have a goal that you're like have in mind that you're thinking of right now, or that you're already on your way towards, and it doesn't like light that passion, if it doesn't make you pee your pants, if it doesn't scare you, if it doesn't make you feel uncomfortable, like, your palms are sweaty or something, your heart starts racing when you think about it because it's just so out there, then it's very possible that you're chasing something that's more within the SMART kind of goal. That's more, you just know that it's something you can achieve, and you're just not allowing yourself to dream big enough for the things that you do want.
Absolutely. And the other thing too, is I know, like, I've been doing this work for 11 years, and I can tell you the first time I set a goal for myself using these 3 filters, it was just this little tiny, I want to double my business. Like it scared me in a way because I remember thinking like, how am I going to do that? Like now I have to think bigger. So that part of it scared me. I had to do new things, but like my goals have evolved and changed. And that's a really important thing to think too, is as we talk about this, if you're listening and you're going, well, my goal isn't really that big. If it scares you, or if it excites you, or it evokes emotion in you, it doesn't matter how big it is. Start with that thing. And as you start accomplishing, that's it. As you start accomplishing those things and you start seeing like, holy shit, a year ago, I never would have thought that this was possible for me, but here I am, I did it. Then all of a sudden, like it does start to open your mind to new possibilities of what you can actually do with your life, right? Like a lot of people think, you know, people that are wildly successful were lucky, or people who are wildly successful were born into money. Like we've talked about this before, that like a lot of people have had that. That's great for them. But there's a lot of very successful people who have come from nothing, and they started from literally just thinking of what in the realm of their possibility, like what could possibly happen for them if they did something. Right. Yeah. And that's the thing, is we hear quite a bit about, you know, successful people being lucky and stuff. And it's like, most of them aren't lucky. Most of them, you just didn't see the years and years and years of doing this goal setting work behind the scenes when no one was watching, and sticking to the plan that they had and growing their goals. And, you know, the idea of what's possible for them, every time they hit a goal, they just thought bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then that's where they get themselves to. So I think it's really important to highlight that if you can't think really, really big for yourself right now, that's okay. As long as your goal is entirely in your control, is trackable, and evokes emotion in you, scares you, excites the shit out of you, it doesn't matter. Go for that thing first. And once you hit that, you go bigger. Yeah. And it'll just progressively, naturally happen that once you start hitting those little milestones, that you'll just start to realize, holy shit, this is possible. This does happen. Holy man, you know? Yeah.
And touching back to the universe episode we just did, you'll be amazed at, once you start chasing those things that scare you, how it just feels like so coincidental that the strangest things start happening. You start meeting people, opportunities come along, you'll just get random deposits in your bank account or whatever, like money that you were owed for something. And you're like, where did this come from? Like it's, the universe truly will conspire to try and make everything happen for you. And I really feel like it just does it faster and harder the more willing you are to be vulnerable enough to just dream bigger.
Yeah. Well, and I'm a true believer that the universe matches our energy. So if we're sitting back and not doing the thing, why is the universe going to be like, oh, here's all these opportunities, but you're not showing up yet, right? Yeah. Like you have to show up in order for the universe to be able to meet you halfway. You have to get halfway for the universe to meet you there. Right. Yeah. And that's just it. As soon as it starts happening, synchronicities, like signs, look for signs, because they're freaking everywhere. And usually they show up. Like for me, they'll show up right away. A lot of times they show up right away. But you know, sometimes even then, I think when I'm going after a goal, if something's not happening, I reevaluate and I go, okay, well, I'm on the right track. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And that's okay. Maybe this is just the universe. You know, the universe is going to throw tests in your way as soon as you start saying you're going to work towards a goal. Get ready for the speed bumps to hit, because
and don't let that be permission to quit too. Because things are going to get hard. Like as soon as you say you want to lose weight, all of a sudden you're going to want to eat every fucking bag of chips and every cookie and every cake and everything, right? Like that's just, that's like an unspoken law that as soon as you say you're going to do something, everything that you don't need to do is going to be right in front of your face.
Totally.
Right. Like you're gonna be like, today I'm going to eat healthy. And your husband's going to come home and be like, I want to take you for supper. And we haven't gone on a date in like 5 years. And you're like, fuck, like, obviously I'm not going to go out and eat a salad. So what the hell?
Totally. Well, and same with like a lot of people have money goals and stuff, right? Like they want to
Mhm.
start saving. They want to make a lot of people have a goal where they want to set aside $100 every paycheck and put it in a savings account. It is so funny when you start watching people that have any kind of like debt repayment goal or, savings goal or whatever, that all of a sudden within a month, you hear them say their furnace broke down, their water heater busted, there's a flood in their house, and all of a sudden they had to drain all of the savings that they already had prior, or take out a loan or whatever. And now they've all of a sudden take this huge step back and they go, well, fuck, I just set a goal yesterday.
Clearly I'm not meant to do this.
Right? But that's not what it is. The universe is going, oh, okay. I remember last year, I had made a goal, and this was back, this would have been exactly a year ago, actually, in April. My husband and I, this was during the beginning of COVID and lockdowns and stuff. We thought, okay, we're going to start putting some money away. Like I had lost my job and we were going to start saving, and we're going to have to start doing the things. And I literally came home from, I don't remember what I was doing. I think I was out for a couple of hours. I came home and my living room ceiling was flooding. Like my top of something on the top of my house, it ended up being my master bathroom, flooded, a seal broke and flooded my entire living room. And I walked in and it was raining in my living room and everything was getting destroyed. And I was home by myself. And that was literally like 4 days after my husband and I had said we were going to start saving. And I,
talk about kicking the pants.
Oh my God. Like I'm not wired for walking into a house that's flooding. Like I'm not.
No, and where did your mind go first? Your mind was probably like, oh, of course, because I said I'm going to save money.
Yeah. I was like,
thank God for insurance.
What the hell? Right. Well, that's it. But even with insurance, like we decided, okay, if insurance is going to pay for half, like we had nasty carpet, and if insurance is going to pay for half and we want to update our house because it's old, that like now's the time to pay the difference and get like the finishings in the house that we really want. Right. And so we ended up doing that. But within 3 months of us still buckling down and still putting the debt and stuff, we had some massive things happen for us. Not so much financially, but just for me, I don't look at abundance just in the financial aspect of it, right? Like that's one thing for us, is that we just wanted to become more abundant. Finances was part of it. But so many amazing things started happening for us within the 3 months of that flood happening. And, once the flood happened, they started restoration work and then everything locked down. So we had subfloors, like people couldn't come in our house for 2 months. So we had ripped open ceilings, like our entire living room was totally gutted down to the studs. We had subfloors we were walking on like for a couple months, and it sucked. It should have been done in 2 weeks. Right. Yeah. But here we are in this. And for me, it was like, okay, what is the lesson here? Right. Yeah. I really had to think, what is the lesson here? That it really does suck that we had to go buy carpets, like puzzle piece carpets for our floor. So we're not getting slivers and stuff. And, our house doesn't look super great, but I still have a home. Right. Yeah. Like it, for me, that was the abundance part of it. Right. Like in that time frame, we did get ourselves caught up on our savings and things were happening for us. But for me, it was like such a lesson from the universe that not abundance isn't always about money, right? We got all this time with our family and all the things. So that's a big thing, I think, with goal setting, is just to remember that it won't always be the way that you picture your journey to be when you set a goal. And to really, keep an open mind, because the universe will conspire for you. And sometimes it's in different ways than you expect. And sometimes you'll be like, oh, well, I wasn't expecting that, but fucking rights. Like, that's a good thing. Like there's just surprises along the way. And when you get speed bumps, don't let them derail you. You just keep going, because that's the universe just testing to see if you really want the thing. Yeah. Which is it will happen.
Oh, and continually and repeatedly and over and over and over until death do you part. Like,
totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
It is forever. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So we talked about what we call our big 3 filter: entirely in your control, trackable, makes you pee your pants. Next, the the part that we do after we set the big goal is to create a list of actionable daily habits. We like to call them your non-negotiables. The things that you need to do every day in order to put one foot in front of the other and work towards your goals. So do you have examples of yours, or do you want me to list some of mine?
Oh, it doesn't matter. You go ahead first, and I'll go.
Okay. I actually have mine. I haven't changed them in a while, which is ironic that I wrote down here that you need to change them every so often, but I have mine hanging up on a cute little poster that I drew in my kitchen. I have 10 of them. I won't list them all, but for me, my goals are fitness oriented. So I have goals like hydration goals. I have daily habit for hydration, daily habit for fueling my body properly, a daily habit for doing my training. And then I have included in there like business time, family time, connection time, things like that. So it's a reminder. And, I definitely don't hit them all every single day. Like life happens, right? Some days are rest days, so I don't train. Some days I'm like super hangry, so maybe I don't eat as well as I could be. Some days I am bad at forgetting or remembering to drink my water. So one day I might not have any. I literally might survive off coffee for a whole day, and then the next day I hit my water, right?
Totally.
But the point of these daily habits is touching back to that like long-term consistency, right? Doing boring, monotonous little things in and out over and over and over and over and over. And over time, you'll look back and you're going to be way further along the path.
Yeah.
So
totally.
That's what we do in order to implement our goals. What are some of yours?
My biggest one is gratitude. Every single morning, it's part of my morning routine. Every single morning, I say 10 things that I'm grateful for. Depending on what my goals are, like right now, one of my goals is to be more present on social media. And so one of my daily actionable items for that, or my non-negotiable for that, is that I have to post something on Instagram every single day. I have to post something on Facebook. I try and do it on TikTok, but TikTok, depending on how much time I have, takes a lot more time and a lot more creativity. So I've kind of given myself grace with that one. But on Instagram, it's my goal every day that I have to post something on Instagram and Instagram stories every day. Water is a really big goal for me to stay hydrated. So my actionable item or my non-negotiable every day around water is a gallon. I don't hit that every single day, but I will not let myself get away without drinking 4 of my gigantic Starbucks mugs. Like that is a non-negotiable. That is my grace cutoff. And reading. So because I'm done writing my book, I've switched when I was writing my book from sitting down and writing for half an hour every day. That was one of my non-negotiables to get towards that book goal. And then once I had achieved that and I was going towards querying agents and stuff, then my new goal was that, or my new actionable item was to sit down for half an hour every day and query agents. And then now that I've taken a step further than that, because that's not happening, which is fine, is I'm sitting down every day for half an hour and I'm figuring out the self-publishing, the whole aspect of that. So those are my non-negotiables that are super important to me right now, is my gratitude every day, my water, because I like food. I don't like to limit myself in food. I'm pleasantly plump. I'm good. But I love, like, my water is a big thing that I really struggle with. And then, like I said, my social media, and then figuring out my self-publishing for my book and stuff. So those are my 4. I don't have too many, only because I get very overwhelmed. But as I get really good with one thing, I kind of I don't bump it off. It stays on my list, but then I think of 2 or 3 more things to add to my list that are new, and I keep the other things going, if that makes sense. So I've got a lot of different little things that I do during the day, but those are my top 4 right now that are the most important to me every single day.
Yeah. And I would say to people listening to you, like, if you're working through this and setting yourself a goal, don't focus on creating like too many, or like you said, it can become overwhelming, but you want enough that you're actually making forward progress towards things. So I would say somewhere between 3, 4 up to 10. I probably wouldn't do more than 10.
I wouldn't go more than 10. Mm-hmm.
No, otherwise it becomes a massive to-do list every day, and that can get overwhelming in and of itself. And I'm kind of the opposite of you. Like, I feel like once you've done it enough that it becomes like a second nature habit and part of your routine, then it's okay for it to come off the list, because you probably won't need that daily reminder to do it. And then replace it with something else. And like we said, these don't have to be significant things. Like, in increasing water for somebody, that might literally just be drinking 1 glass a day because they don't drink any water right now.
Yeah.
That's totally fine. That's awesome. You like to use the example of 10,000 steps. Well, if you're super sedentary and you spend your whole day on the couch, maybe your goal is going to be 2,000. Like that's great. Like they don't have to be significant. They don't have to be hugely time consuming. But I would also stress that they should be things that you're not already good at. So like if you're like me and you have a fitness-based goal, and you've already been a gym goer the whole time, but you have a goal like within that, going to the gym shouldn't be on your list of things that you need to remember to do every day, because it's already a habit for you.
Yeah.
Or if you already drink the water, then that doesn't need to be on there. Find something else that you can focus on, and just you'll just create a nice big stack of really great habits that carry you on your way towards all of your goals. And those things are relevant to everything, right? Like even if your goal is writing a book, well, it's still super important for you to drink water. That's not necessarily fitness and nutrition related. That's hydration. That keeps your brain from being foggy. That helps keep you alert and all that kind of stuff. Like, your daily actionables might not necessarily be things that you would correlate to your goal, but they're things that keep you healthy and keep your mind healthy and keep you happy and will keep you on track.
Absolutely. Well, I think that once you start implementing non-negotiables into your life, you really start to see what's really, truly important to you and what you spend your time on, which is a huge thing, because a lot of people they're not clear on that, right? They just go about day-to-day life, and it's the ins and out of routine. And I think that it's, even my 4 are super random: drinking water, doing gratitude, writing, and all the things. But in reality, like, those 4 things are each individual things that are going to rise all, one tide rises all my boats. And so those 4 things, even though they're different, they're in totally different spaces of my life, they're all going to rise. They're all working towards my big goal, my big, gigantic goal. Right. And that's the thing.
Yeah.
And as you do this work, and as you do this work consistently, you will start to figure out, okay, maybe drinking water isn't super important to you, and that's fine. Then you don't have to drink water. Like, we're not telling you have to do these things, but it's so important that when you start to figure out, okay, these are the things that I need to do in order to get me closer to my goal, you have to think of things as well that are going to push you, right? Yeah. Like, drinking water doesn't push me. Drinking water is really easy. Like, I know I need to drink 4 of them. It's old news for me because I've been doing it for so long. But at the same time, like, I know on the days when I'm traveling around the city doing drop-offs, or I'm in my coaching group and I'm doing Zooms all day, that these 4 things of water, I'm going to have to be paying 4 things of water, right? Like, that's hard on days when you're traveling and stuff. Right. So these things can sound so mundane, and these things can just be like the in and outs of the day. But in reality, like, they also do need to be things that not all of them, I guess, but some of them do have to be things that are going to push you, because you have to hold yourself accountable to do the things. And that's a huge little secret in self-growth, is when you set yourself up you say you're going to do these things, do them. Because as soon as you start to hold yourself accountable and you start to say and do the things you say you're going to do, that's where self-love grows, is when you have integrity with yourself. Right. And so that's a huge little secret with this, is that you say you're going to do the 2 or 5 or 10 non-negotiables, stick to them as best you can every day. Like, and I hate saying that because it's already like, sounds like it gives you an out. Try your best. Do the fucking things you say you're going to do. Do them, because they're going to get you closer to your goal, and they're going to grow your self-love because you're keeping your word to yourself. Right. So start.
And I think if you follow the rule of thumb of things that like make you feel better and things that make you show up better in the world, then you're pretty much on track. Yeah. So if you can incorporate some of those kind of things into all of your daily actionable steps, then I feel like they're definitely going to help you progress forward. And the great thing about these is these are things, again, that you can control. And these are things that are trackable. Like if you need to, go Google a habit list. Like you can print one off in like 12 seconds and you can write your couple little things and you can check them off. And the more times that you can check off everything every day that you've done it, the more likely you are to be progressing towards your goals. And this is literally what we mean about showing up with really mundane, boring things, but that consistency will pay off and things will just organically start to improve in your life, yourself, your relationships, your finances, all of it. Like it's the craziest thing, I guess, that those actionable steps really help put you in that flow state of life that we talked about a couple episodes ago. So
absolutely. Who knew drinking water would be so sexy?
I know, right? And if you need help on implementing habits, go a few episodes back. We do have an episode about that already out. So,
and if you have any questions, reach out to us. 110% we could do. If you have a question, we can, about how to set a goal. If you've got something that you've been thinking about setting and you need help, reach out to us and we will go over it on a podcast. I think that'd be really cool. Break down how people can set something as a goal and what actionable items they could do every day. So if you're struggling in that realm, please reach out to us for sure.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. Is there anything else you want to cover on goals, Vanessa, or?
I don't think so. I'll let you do the outro since I've been butchering it the last couple of episodes. I didn't realize we had an outro
to this process.
Realize we had an outro written down.
One of these days, we're going to have a really nice sounding, sexy intro and outro that we won't have to say every time, right? It's just going to be there. And we're going to be like, all right, we can just start talking. Right. But for now, we're so grateful for everybody who listens, for everybody that's left us reviews, tags us on social media. There's been a few people that have done that regularly, screenshotting our episodes and tagging us. We love that. Wherever you're listening on Apple or Spotify or even YouTube, if you hit subscribe, that will remind you every week when our new episodes drop on Mondays. And you can actually, this is really important because I totally only recently learned this. You can actually leave a review every time you listen to an episode on Apple.
Really?
So literally every single time you download an episode, you can go and like click 5 stars and leave a review and then leave a review for the next one and the next one and the next one. So don't feel like you're limited to only review us for 5 stars one time in your life. You can do it every Monday when you listen to our episodes and we would love that.
We would be so grateful for that.
Isn't that cool? So yeah. And we also ask if there's something that really resonates with you and you know somebody that may benefit from it, please share it with them. You can send them the link or you can screenshot it and throw it on social media and tag us and tag them, whatever you need to do. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. And if you want to see our beautiful faces, you can watch us on YouTube. If you ever have questions, like Vanessa just said, you can email us at selfloveuncensored@gmail.com or follow us on all of our social media handles, which will be posted in the description below, and message us there. That's pretty much it.
So good.
Outro.
I know. So good. We're going to get one that's like next season or next episode. Like it's going to be like hot, like some sexy, dun, bulky men. Dun, dun, dun.
That's right.
Until then, it'll be us. I think we're doing good. This is the thing too. I was thinking as you were doing the outro was, this was one of our goals, right? Show up like we talked about before. Show up when you don't fucking know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right. Like we have non-negotiables around, having time to record these things and such, but we're still show up imperfectly and just do the things and the universe will meet you halfway. And it's been so fun. I love doing this. I love it.
Even if like nobody ever listened to it, I think it's fun just for us to, it really helps like reaffirm that we're doing the right thing with the work that we're doing in this world, because we're showing up here to do it for like, there's no financial reward or anything like that. We're just doing it because we so strongly believe in these things and how they can improve your life that I just want everybody to know about it so that everybody can have the life that they desire. So
absolutely. Yeah. We don't have sponsors yet. We'll just put that out there. Come on, universe.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Anyways, I love you, Amanda. Thank you everybody for tuning in for another episode. And we will, I guess, see you guys next week.
That's right. Bye.
Bye.